Good morning, traders. Welcome to today's market review. This is Razak at CMTrading. Today is March 13th, 2023, and today is Monday morning. So looking at the highlights of the day, we're watching the US dollar weaker versus everything across the board, and this is happening after Silicon Valley Bank collapses. Now looking at the major economic events scheduled for today. So we don't have anything scheduled, but we may have a Fed release. The Fed Chairman Powell will be speaking after the Silicon Valley Bank collapse, and maybe just easing the markets as to some of their concerns. Now, looking at the various markets, starting out with the Forex symbol. So as mentioned, the major pairs gain versus the US dollar. And when we look at the indices, the Dow Jones and the NASDAQ both bounce. Looking at commodities, gold bounces while oil remains unchanged. And when we look at the stocks, JP Morgan bounces while ALCOA doesn't. We're going to take a look at that. That's a very important element. And lastly, looking at cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin bounces as well. So let's take a look at the markets and see what we can expect from today's trading. So here we go. We're taking a look at the Euro USD. You could see that gap up and go to 107.28. Now these things can't be anticipated, so you do want to know that, when these things do come out, that you cannot anticipate them. So with that said, just know your levels. We do have resistance at 108.45, support at that 30-day moving average, which is trading right now at 106.80-ish level. So keep that in mind as we go into today's trading session. You can see that it's quite aggressive. On a 4-hour chart, we're breaking even the 200-day moving average. On the daily, we're only breaking that 30-day moving average. So keep that in mind as we're making that correction on the upside. Now, looking at a weekly chart, just to give us perspective, this is resistance-ish level. Okay, on many areas, we've hit this area quite before on the Euro USD. Now, looking at the GBP USD, also that's stronger above that moving day average, that 30-day moving average, but getting closer to that resistance at 121.80-ish level. When we look at the USD CAD, look at that. Almost picture perfect. We hit that resistance the other day at 138-ish level, and that was the triple day resistance. Now, when we look back at this, in let's say 2 months from now, we're not going to see that there was an announcement about the Silicon Valley Bank that collapsed and therefore the dollar went down. We're only going to see this graph, and we're going to see a double top here and resistance at this 138-ish level. So that is why technical trading is just so important. Now, jumping into commodities, gold did rally yesterday up to 1888 and then selling off after the hype of all this, kind of news-driven environment that we're in. Crude oil unchanged at 76.97, just bouncing off of that $75, but not really anything much. Now, looking at the Dow Jones, we bounced last week into this area. Okay, we're right now trading lower, but we bounced last week to 32,600, and we're just selling off of that Fibonacci level. Keep that in mind later today. Looking at the NASDAQ as well, trading sideways. Now, the Fed is going to kind of ease our concerns today, so keep that in mind. That's their job. So that's something that we need to keep in mind. Now, looking at JP Morgan, got that bounce. However, looking at ALCOA, if we take a look at this, this is quite interesting. Didn't get the bounce on its dead lows. Now, if this continues breaking further down, I could see it breaking down to that 30-ish level area. So keep that in mind as this makes that correction on the downside. Now, lastly, looking at Bitcoin, look at that massive push upwards. We hit 20,000 and then we made back 22,000. That's 2,000 points. $2,000 worth of points on the upside, so there was a correction. Now, I do anticipate the markets to be choppy today. We do have some major numbers coming out at the end of the week, but nevertheless, there's going to be some action because of this news-driven event. This is Razak. I want to wish you guys a great trading day. Thank you.